Hello and welcome back to the game room. You know what? I'm a guy who loves video games. I love talking about them. I love playing them. And as funny as that sounds, seems like a lot of people who do cover them don't. So if that interests you, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like, make a comment, and let's check out what the topic of this video is going to be, which is franchises I have zero experience with. Now, the reason that interests me is because I'm a pretty eclectic guy. I play games of every genre, from MMOs to puzzle games, sports games, racing games. I've been this way my whole life. Like it's about to say in my intro, I've been playing games since the late 80s. But what franchises do I have zero experience with? Let's find out.
There's a lot of games out there, some of which you've never even heard of. That's where I come in. My name's Luke. I've been playing games since the age of 2, and I have no life. This is my game room.
But we're going to focus on games that to this date I have never even played an inkling of. And also, I want to start with games that, you know, were a reasonable time for me to be playing it. So, for instance, I never played Castlevania or Mega Man when it was current, but when I had the N64, I was around 10 years old. That's when I started dabbling in these franchises I didn't know about because I was old enough to read about them in Nintendo Power and take a chance on it. So that's when I played Bomberman for the first time. That's when I played Castlevania for the first time. But obviously, some of the earlier games in the franchise I didn't play till significantly later. But that's not what this one's going to be. We're going to be talking about games that still to this day I have in my collection, sometimes multiple copies of this franchise, and I've never played it. So let's take a look at what I haven't played and why I haven't played it, and also maybe there's something that you guys recommend me trying out. And first and foremost, let's start off with one that maybe is borderline. This was a franchise that started on the Sega Master System and then was really hitting its stride on the Sega Genesis, but then had some titles after that. And that would be the Phantasy Star series. So I have Phantasy Star 2, which I picked up when I bought 3 games from my buddy Alexi. I got this, Revenge of Shinobi, and Truxton. I've actually reviewed both of those games, and this is one that I want to check out, though I really want to start with the first Phantasy Star just because that's who I am. I like going sequentially in these RPG series, even though it really doesn't matter. But yes, Phantasy Star 2, and I've always heard that Phantasy Star 4 is the premier game in the series. I had a chance to pick up Phantasy Star 3 back in Colorado a few years back, but I didn't. Maybe I should have. And then because I've been trying to pick up some GameCube games that might be getting pricier, I got Phantasy Star Online. Let's see, episode 1 and 2. Not the more expensive one, but I just wanted to pick this up. This is more of an MMO, whereas these were traditional turn-based strategy games. And it's just not a series. Once again, I'm not a huge Genesis guy. Like, oh, I just thought of another one. If we do it again, we'll do it another list. Another game series I haven't played because it was basically Genesis. And I always say I'm a Nintendo fanboy through and through. But you would think, especially with all the RPGs I've gone through, and I've debated it, I've wanted to start with this one, just haven't gotten around to it. So Phantasy Star, probably a surprising game series that I have zero experience with. Moving on to the next one. This is a series that had 5 mainline games and I think a remake, 10 years ago. And originally was supposed to be a Resident Evil game, which is crazy, and that is the Devil May Cry series. I had no interest in it. I played God of War. Why would I want to go play another series where I'm playing as someone who looks like a slightly more masculine Final Fantasy character? That's what it looked like to me. I probably would enjoy these games. I just haven't had much of a reason to go back. And I picked up Devil May Cry 5, I want to say because GameStop a few years back had a buy 2 get 1 free deal, and I was just looking for games to pick up, and I think this was maybe $20. I'm like, oh, you know what? Let's try it. I heard this got good reviews. It looked solid. Haven't picked it up. Haven't picked it up. And in all my collecting days, I haven't picked up any of the other ones for the PS2 or anything like that. So what do you guys think? Is Devil May Cry worth giving a shot? Is this the right one to start with, or should I go back and play something else? Other than the fact that I know that DMC, the one where they turned Dante into just a short-haired guy and very generic. Some people say it's good. Most people say it's bad. So probably steer clear of that one. I don't know. What do you think? Moving on. in that same time frame when I picked up Devil May Cry, I picked up another franchise that I hadn't tried. Now, bear in mind, I always try to try out big franchises. I'm that way. If something is huge, I'm like, all right, I got to see what all the hype is about. That's why I picked up Modern Warfare 4, why I jumped into those games in the N64 era. And this is a series that actually my buddy Sean highly recommended. He loved the third game in the series, and after that I saw the fourth one coming out. There was a dude with an elephant in the cover, and it just didn't appeal to me. And the fifth one actually sounded really interesting because it took place in America, which I've always wanted to see, sort of a pseudo-American type game with craziness going on, and that is Far Cry 5. Don't know much about the first two. As far as I'm concerned, I really only hear about the game after 3, which people say 3 is the best I've heard. I know there's a movie that came out that I didn't even know was a thing, and from what I've heard, it's terrible. And then there's Far Cry 6 that probably I'll pick up for the PS5 one of these days when I can get it for $10, because this is, Ubisoft, yeah. $10 soft. Is it worth playing? Is this the right one to start with? Please, tell me. I like to know. I'd like to know what a good jumping off part for most of these franchises are, because I still think 3 is where people recommend it, but hey, I mean, who knows? But yes, another one, I got this the same time as I got Devil May Cry 5, and I haven't played a second of either of them. I haven't even really watched anything either. Now, this is one that is surprising, because I love run and gun games, I loved Contra back in the day, and I honestly didn't know anything about SNK's Metal Slug. And maybe that's because it's SNK, and I wasn't a big arcade person. I didn't have an MVS, so I never played any of those, never picked up anything. I picked up the Metal Slug Anthology, of all things, because it had a bunch of the games, like 1, 2, X, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I heard it was good on the Wii. I don't really care much for playing the Wii, hence why I probably haven't given this a shot. I am looking forward to Metal Slug Tactics, so that's probably going to be the first game I play in the franchise, even though it's not going to be anything like what this game typically plays like. But let me know. What do you think? Which one's a good one to start on? And is this, I want to say my buddy Josh, when I was at Acura, is the one who recommended this to me, which thank God he did, because I picked this up in 2016 maybe. I think they're like $20. I don't know if it's too much more than that now. I have a feeling it is, just because everything is. But yes, Metal Slug Anthology, that's one that is surprising that I never jumped into. Just never really, I missed the PS2 era. At that time I was playing World of Warcraft. And before that, I was such a heavily Nintendo fanboy. I picked up the PS1 because of stuff like Metal Gear Solid or Resident Evil. But just never got a chance to pick up Metal Slug. Now, this is one that, I don't know, you might find surprising. I don't really find surprising because even to this day, I had no interest in playing it. Came out on the PS2. Huge series, even though there's only been 3 games in it. And it's almost obnoxious the amount of side titles that have come out. And that would be Kingdom Hearts, which I picked this up for $2 at a thrift store several years back. It's a greatest hits version. It's faded. Whatever, it's Kingdom Hearts. They're everywhere. Don't have Kingdom Hearts 2 or 3. I'm not a big Disney guy, and even to this day, it's like, why? Like, you take the part of Final Fantasy, which is the part where it kind of looks like emo children, and you pair it with a Disney game, and it's just, it takes it to the next level of disinterest for me. But hey, and also I got this one, which is Kingdom Hearts Recoded. I don't know if this is a remake of the first one or the second one or 365 Dewdrop BS, whatever. I got this for Jen when we got 3DSs back in the day. Yeah, this one this is the game that allegedly taught people that it's pronounced Cypher and not Cipher. So I got that going against it as well. But am I wrong? This has kind of that Xenoblade, that Ys 8, that combat that the Final Fantasy 12 style combat. So if anything, I hate this series because it's what told Squaresoft they could move away from turn-based games. So that's kind of where I sit on that whole damn franchise, and I really still have no interest. But am I wrong? Should I give it a shot? I don't know, maybe one of these days. But this is one that's probably going to surprise you people, especially if you know I'm such a huge Fire Emblem fan. And that is the Advance Wars series. I've never played anything in the Advance Wars. I was planning on playing the Boot Camp, whatever, the Rebooted or whatever it's called for the Switch, but it's been delayed for the last year, so if it ever comes out, that's probably where I'm going to play it for the first time. And this is solely, I mean, I remember these games coming out, I remember them looking interesting, especially once Fire Emblem came out and I learned about something called NES Wars, and everyone's saying how great these were. but it's just handheld. I can't stand playing handheld games. Even now, there was a brief time there in 2020 when I was jonesing on those handheld games, but now I'm kind of back to, even with the analog pocket, I don't know. I haven't wanted to play it. And playing Wargroove as well, which is supposed to be a game that plays similar to this, really did it no favors in my opinion, because it made me think that, oh god, maybe this style of game isn't for me. Maybe it's a little too unique. I picked up Advance Wars, the kind of, I mean, I guess I'm technically cheating here because I have Battalion Wars, which is sort of a game like this for the GameCube, but I don't count it because this is such a different style of game. That'd be like comparing the Mario and Luigi saga versus Paper Mario versus blah blah blah. So yes, maybe this one doesn't count. All right, moving on to one that's maybe a little bit of a surprise, especially when you consider that I seem to like these Weibo games, but I've never played any of the Persona series. I've actually installed Persona 5. I've turned it on my PS4. I've seen the intro, and I turned it off. I don't know. I mean, I have this game, Persona Revelations, which actually I think I'd prefer to play this just because it has that old school PS1 janky graphics. I don't know what it is. I mean, I haven't played the Shin Megami Tensei series either, and it's just, I'm not feeling it. I don't know. I'm not feeling going into some freaking high school scenario where I have to unleash my personas and go on to this dungeon grind. It doesn't appeal to me. It just doesn't. And I'm sure I'd love the games if I give it a shot, but that's one of the things about Fire Emblem Three Houses and recent Fire Emblem that I feel like has been pulling me away a bit. I mean, I've been playing Engage, and luckily it's been subdued a bit, but it's still there. And from what I've heard, Persona's kind of the progenitor of that style of game. So, hey, thank you for saving the Fire Emblem series, but also get your damn peanut butter out of my chocolate, because I am sick and tired of running through something and worrying about giving gifts and having tea with people in my freaking tactical strategy games. All right, another one, just a little off the top here. Another one like Persona 5 that I installed and then didn't play. I would have played this one, but this is actually when my white PS4 died. And it didn't even die. There's a common issue with the first run of PS4s where, this was before they had physical eject buttons, where the bottom of it would get warped and then just instantly eject the disc because it got overheated or something like that, where it would trick the machine into thinking it has to eject the disc. And that happened to my white PS4. And ironically, the game I was going to start playing and try and cover for the channel at the time was Monster Hunter World. I haven't played any of these. This is the only one I have. But I was literally about to play this, and my buddy Donovan's like, you're going to love it. It's amazing. And then the PS4 issues happened, forced me to go a different way. And then the next thing I know, by the time I got this solved, I had the God of War edition, because that's the PS4 Pro. That was the excuse to get me the God of War edition. And I played the God of War game and moved on with my life. Because this was when, I want to say it's in 2018, when I was doing backlog games. So I was covering games that were modern releases for the first time on the channel. And this was going to be one of them. And just didn't get to it. And still to this day I haven't gotten to it. Like, same thing kind of with Persona 5. The thought that I'm about to jump into a 30, 40, 100, 200 hour game doesn't excite me. It doesn't excite me because I know there's so much bloat and there's so much that's not going to interest me that I'm going to have to just do to get through the game. At least that's what I feel. It's not like older games, where at least I know on older games, like, hey, you know, if there's a lot of grinding, at least I can mindlessly do it. If I'm playing through Suikoden 2 or something of that nature. Versus this, it's like, oh god, I'm going to have to hear constant chatter. There's going to be 3D areas I'm going to have to navigate through and learn. And it's just, there's only so much brain capacity you have, and after a while, it really wears on you. But yes, first world problems. Why am I complaining about content in a game? I'm not. I'm complaining about quality content. And so many of these games that are coming out nowadays, this feels like they want to extend it so you don't see these articles saying, wow, this game's only 6 hours. Like a popular game that's like that is The Order 1886, which actually I thought was pretty decent. But everyone talks about how short it was. That's a bonus. It's not even because I have a busy life. I still put hundreds of hours into Elden Ring, but it doesn't have to be that way. Sometimes, I mean, does no one remember when you could replay games? I mean, Vanguard Bandits, I replayed 3 times. Not because I had to, but because I was enjoying it, that I wanted to keep playing. But games nowadays, they can't rely on that. They gotta rely on giving you cosmetics and season passes and BS and stuff. Like I really dislike it when games update, as stupid as that sounds, because Now I have to go back and like just make a sequel. I don't need Dead Cells to have another expansion. At this point, give me Dead Cells 2. It's been 5-6 years. I digress. And then the game that had me kind of think about this whole question to begin with is the BioShock series. You would think I would have played this. You really would have. Especially during the 360 era, I got all the big releases. I got the Red Dead Redemptions, the Halos, the Dead Space, everything that everyone talked about. And I have BioShock 1 and BioShock Infinite. And I remember watching my buddy play this game on his PC when it came out. And it's kind of like the same way I felt about Dishonored. I'm over first-person games. I'm still over first-person games. Give me a new experience, but not using the same tried and true controls. If that makes sense, I don't know. From everything I've read about this, it sounds like it's an amazing journey, and I'd probably enjoy it. So let me know, am I making a mistake on these? I know there's various different ways of playing it. There's the version on the Switch now, which maybe I'd pick that up, or something on the PS5 to that nature. But yeah, BioShock. I haven't played it. And get to the last couple here. This is one that I've heard all the damn time. It's a Valve release, and it's one of my favorite games in the collection because it glows under blue light, and that is the Orange Box, which I actually bought because I wanted to play Counter-Strike back in the day, but we're talking about Half-Life. Half-Life 1, Half-Life 2. Haven't played any of them. And I know all about the Half-Life 3 drama. I probably know more about the Half-Life drama than I ever know about the first two games. There was supposed to be a Dreamcast version, all this other stuff. A while ago, I had this idea of doing a legendary first-person shooters I hadn't played, so I was going to do Half-Life and the original Doom, maybe BioShock. So yes, that's kind of where I'm at on that. I mean, I love it for Portal. Loved Portal 2, great game, but just never really got up for it. Once again, it's a first-person shooter. How many first-person shooters are going to break the world? I mean, even going back and trying to play Resident Evil 4 in VR, I was underwhelmed after the first hour. I'm so over it. It's funny, not to completely tangent, but I know a lot of people are complaining about the controls in the new release of GoldenEye, which I actually got the expansion pass for the Switch just so I could play it, and only needed to do 1 or 2 tweaks on the Pro Controller to remap it so that you could strafe left and right. But I actually like standing still, aiming, and firing. I'm having a great time. The first person campaign holds up greatly, and I'd love to play some multiplayer. If you guys are interested in my Switch handle, let me know. We could drop it in there. Maybe get some 4-player GoldenEye going on, because I used to play the hell out of that. Feels just as great, and it looks so good. And even with the other N64 games, looks so good. Running it through the whatever Switch emulation is going on, and I don't care if it's not completely accurate, if the timing's different. It's a fun way to play, because the N64 looks like garbage. Even with my modded one, it still doesn't look great. All right, and let's see. I got a couple more here. Let's do the last game. We'll save that for another video if we're doing it. So the last one is a game series that I don't know if that was just Ninja Overload, or if the fact that it was just during the PS2 era, but that is Onimusha. Onimusha, another, much like Devil May Cry, something that you think I would have liked, Capcom game. I had a great feeling with Capcom back then. Loved Tenchu. I don't know, maybe it looked a little too action-based, a little too otherworldly. I mean, really, these games, seems like every time you have some sort of samurai game or something, there's always a demonic influence or something. I don't know if that's just Japanese culture in general where they tend to coincide, but it just didn't appeal to me. Didn't look good. I don't know if that was another Resident Evil based game that then got turned into something else. But yeah, got a couple more here. We'll save them for the next one. Let me know what you guys thought about this. If these are games that you were shocked I haven't played anything in the franchise. It just kind of hit me. This is an interesting thing to talk about. I know the last video I did very well for me talking about games I gave up on. And I really enjoy talking about these kind of things, hearing your feedback, and just wanted to throw out some of my dirty laundry as far as franchises I have no experience with, like legit no experience with, because there's other things I could have brought up where it's like I played one, like Dragon Warrior, I played 2 of them, there's 11 of them, then all the side quests, but no, these are ones I legitimately have no basis in. So let me know, guide me, what game should I pick up, which one should I play on these? I really appreciate all of your feedback. And as a reminder, I release a new video every Tuesday. Thank you for liking and subscribing to the channel. It's been so nice getting a hold of you. Take care.